Good morning. I'm Rebecca Towne, CEO of Vermont Electric Co-op, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us this morning for VEC's annual meeting. I'm really pleased to be here today with all of you. We will start with some business for our member owners, hear some updates from VEC, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing from our guest speaker, Molly Gray, later. I really miss being in person and look forward to being able to do that next year. But for this year, we are all online and our team has put together what I hope will be a great meeting for you. And I want to quickly go through today's logistics so that we all know what to expect. This is a webinar, so please know we cannot see or hear you, but there are a few ways I would love to invite you to participate with us. First, questions can be submitted at any time using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. If you phoned into the meeting, please email your questions to support@vermontelectric.coop. Second, the directors will be asking for several votes throughout the meeting, which will be done by an electronic poll for members participating by video. We have some invited guests who have joined us today. Welcome. But I want to remind you that only members may vote in the polls. When a vote is needed, a poll box will appear on your screen and you will be given the option to vote yay or nay. Once you check yay or nay, you will need to click on the submit button to cast your vote. Those are the logistics. We have them out of the way, so I will turn the meeting over to VEC's Board President, Rich Goggin.
Thank you, Rebecca. Welcome, everyone, to this year's VEC annual meeting. Thanks to all for participating. We hope you're all safe and well. It's certainly been a challenging year, but we're finding optimism on many fronts. And here at VEC, we have some really exciting initiatives to share with you this morning. So let's get started. Today's agenda will begin with the business portion of the meeting, and I will introduce the 12 VEC Board of Director members. Then we'll get a safety reminder. Next, we'll hear from our Board Secretary, Mark Woodward. Next, we will hear about our finances from Treasurer John Ward. And then I will announce the Board of Directors election results. After that, we'll hear about some exciting innovations at VEC. Following that, Rebecca will share with us VEC's top 10 highlights from 2020. And then lastly, we have a very special guest, and Lieutenant Governor Molly Gray will join us with a live conversation with Rebecca. Also, for a little fun, we'll be challenging your knowledge of VEC with some quiz questions. You'll see those questions pop up on your screen later on in the meeting. So let's begin. I'm calling this meeting to order now at 9:03 a.m. on Saturday, May 8th, 2021. First, I'd like to introduce VEC's 12 members of VEC's Board of Directors. Today, we are joined by the officers, Rich Goggin, myself, representing District 7. Mark Woodward, Secretary, representing District 4. John Ward, Treasurer, representing District 2. Paul Lambert, our first Vice President, representing District 6. Carol Maroney, our second Vice President, representing District 3. Don Worth represents District 1. Charlie Van Winkle is our director representing District 5. Our East Zone at Large directors are Tom Bailey and George Legou, and our West Zone directors at large are Jody Dunkley, Ken Hopner, and Rich Westman. Now, on to our safety minute. Safety is at the heart of all VEC operations. And we take our safety seriously, and we hope you do too, both at home and at your workplace. Today's Safety Minute is about staying safe at home and will be presented by two of our VEC district supervisors, Isaac Gillen and Sean Holbrook.
I'm Isaac Gillen. I'm Operations Supervisor for the Grand Isle District.
I am Sean Holbrook. I'm Operations Supervisor for the Richford and the Johnson District.
And this morning we're here to discuss some basic PPE, personal protective equipment that we encourage everybody to use at home.
And we're going to start with the hard hat. If you're working around the house, you're cutting trees, you have a branch hanging up that you don't see, you know, it could be anything. Not paying attention, walk into a corner of a ladder or something that's been stored somewhere. Very important.
And then we'll go to the next piece. So eye protection, this is very important. Good idea to wear these when you're doing any work, blowing dust around, anything like that. Keep your eyes safe.
Next is the safety vest. Now, me and my wife, will walk some nights at dusk. We put these on. The UPS truck is out. People are coming home. It's hard to see people. So very important.
Next, we're going to talk about gloves. Wearing gloves is very important. It keeps your hands safe. We use our hands for everyday work. So we keep our hands safe with leather protectors. That's, you know, when you're wrenching, you're stacking firewood, you're using a chainsaw, anything that you're doing that you can injure, pinch, cut your hands, these will protect you, will go a long ways. So as we're talking about working with chainsaws, there's some new technology out, and we just wanted to just point out and cover this. This is an electric chainsaw. Basically, the battery's inserted and you're ready to go. Does that mean you get to relax on your PPE because this is a battery-powered chainsaw? No, this is just as dangerous, just as powerful. So we recommend that you wear your gloves, your hard hat, your safety glasses, and even your hearing protection. You'd be surprised, this is a lot louder than you think it is. And then
These chaps, like Isaac was saying, that saw is electric, it's light, it's plastic. A lot like a toy, but I'll tell you, it's not a toy. Very dangerous. It cuts just like a gas saw. Just because it's not as loud as a gas saw doesn't mean it's not as dangerous.
and one last thing before you leave, don't forget your steel-toed boots. From our VEC family to yours.
Stay safe and don't forget your tick spray.
Thank you, Isaac and Sean. Those are great suggestions. A reminder of importance of home safety. I'm Mark Woodward. I'm the VEC Secretary and would like to start today's business with reading the Certificate of Quorum. I hope you can all hear me. My internet is a little sketchy here, but I'll go on and work and you can all hear me and my dogs won't bark. I'm Mark Woodward, Secretary of the Board of Vermont Electric Cooperative, Inc. Do hereby certify that the total number of members voting in either in person or by another method permitted by law and by VEC bylaws at the day of the annual meeting is 3,794, and that this number exceeds the quorum of 100 members as required by VEC bylaws, and therefore the meeting can legally begin. I will now read the mailing affidavit. I, Mark Woodward, Secretary of the Board of Vermont Electric Cooperative, Inc., do certify that a copy of the notice hereto attached relative to this annual meeting of the members of Vermont Electric Cooperative, Inc., to be held by video conference on Saturday, May 8th, 2021, was duly mailed to each member of the cooperative on April 13th, 2021, in a manner prescribed by the bylaws. Now, it's customary to waive the reading of the notice of the annual meeting. I will accept a motion by a member now.
My name is John Ward. I move that the reading of the notice of the May 8th, 2021 annual meeting of the Board of Members be waived.
My name is Paul Lambert. I second the motion.
Okay. As previously noted, members will be voting by poll on your screen. At this point, members participating by video should see a poll box with options to vote yay or nay. Please vote and then press the submit button. Nice. We've reviewed the results and the motion is passed. At this time, I would again request a motion to approve the minutes of the 2020 annual meeting.
I'm Paul Lambert, and I move to approve the minutes of the May 26, 2020 annual meeting.
I am John Ward. I second the motion.
Again, members will vote using the poll box. Please remember to submit your vote. Nice. We've reviewed the poll results and the motion is passed. Thank you very much. That concludes my duties. At this time, we'll hear a pre-recorded presentation from our treasurer, John Ward, on the status of VEC's finances.
Good morning. I'm pleased to report that Vermont Electric Co-op continues to have strong financial results. It is our hope and expectation that these strong financial results will continue. Indeed, our financial rating at Standard & Poor's continues to be an A+ rating with a stable outlook. This is VEC's highest financial rating ever. Stronger financial ratings are beneficial for VEC in negotiating power supply contracts and in borrowing funds at lower interest rates. Savings & Poor's cites cost-effective power supply, managerial control of operating costs, strong management, and effective rate regulation from the Public Utility Commission that provides for adequate interest coverage that allows the cooperative to recover its investment in the electrical transmission and distribution system. Our independent auditors, Kittle, Brannigan, and Sargent, recently completed their independent audit of VEC for 2020 and issued an unqualified accounting opinion, which assures you that all of the financial results presented to you in our annual financial summary conform to industry-wide generally accepted accounting principles. 2020 calendar year, VEC had operating revenues of $79.4 million, which is 2.9% more than the prior year. Our net income after expenses was $4.7 million, an increase of $0.3 million from the prior year. Net income consisted of $1.2 million from operational margins, while $7.2 million was received from interest, dividends, other income, and capital credits. Between 2013 and 2020, VEC has returned nearly $7.5 million of patronage capital to members in the form of bill credits and checks to former members. Patronage capital is a member's share of the money remaining after VEC pays its operating expenses. It is allocated to members based on how much they were billed for electric service that year. When the condition of the cooperative is strong enough, the board of directors may decide to refund a portion of patronage capital to the membership. Alternatively, the board may decide it's more prudent to invest those funds to upgrade the electrical system. For 2020, we increased electrical rates by 3.3%. This was our first rate increase in 6 years. Our electric rate increases over the past 10 years has averaged less than 1% per annum. We do not plan to have an electric rate increase for 2021. We have been able to achieve these results by the hard work of our management and staff, paying particular attention to our largest cost driver, which is power supply, and our investment in Vermont Electric Power Company stock, Transco, which earns a return of 12.51%. Our average interest expense last year was 4.1% of our long-term debt of $93.7 million. Our long-term debt increased by $6.5 million. Our investment in Transco was used to upgrade statewide transmission lines. The proceeds from this investment are passed on to our ratepayers through a positive impact on rates by offsetting increased costs in other areas. Capital spending for 2020 was $12.9 million. Capital expenditures are necessary to renew our aging infrastructure, increase electric service reliability for you, our member owners, and repair storm damage. Capital spending dollars come from member contributions for new service, annual net income, loans from our banking partners, and federal grants when we are able to obtain them. Our total operating expenses of $78.2 million in 2020 increased by $1.6 million over the prior year. The major expense drivers are the cost of power and the cost of transmission. We have no control over the charge per megawatt for transmission, but if we improve control of our peak power demands, we can lower our transmission costs. Once again, I'm excited that VEC had another very good year. Your board of directors, management, and staff will do everything possible to have another great year in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for that presentation. It's great to know that the co-op is on such solid ground financially. At this time, I'd like to ask for motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I am Carol Maroney, and I move that the treasurer's report be accepted.
And I'm Mark Woodward, and I second that motion.
At this time, members participating by video should see a poll box with options to vote yea or nay. Please make your choice and don't forget to hit the submit button. Thank you, everyone. We've reviewed the results and the motion passes. So now for a little fun. How about a few quiz questions? You'll see a multiple choice quiz question box on your screen. We have 3 questions for you today. In what town was the first VEC pole set? And for extra credit, you might know when it was set. Second question, what is Smart Hub? And then our third question, you'll probably have to scroll up on your little poll box. Which of the following car makers has an all electrical vehicle on the market today? Make your choices and don't forget to hit the submit button. All right, the results are in. And as we see, our team did a very good job. Our members did a very good job. The answer to the first question, where was VEC's first pole set? It was in Eden in 1938, a long time ago. Second question, what is Smart Hub? And most of you got that answer as well. Smart Hub is our online portal where you can see your power usage, both past and present, in almost real time. You can review billing history and even pay your bill. And if you're not familiar with Smart Hub, you should check it out by following the My Account link on the VEC homepage. And the last but not least is which companies have electric vehicles. They all do. This is an exciting time as we move forward and look toward more and more EVs on the market. Personally, I can't wait for the EV truck to show up because I'll be first in line to get one of those. Okay, now I would like to announce the results of the Board of Directors election. You'll see on your screen, we have the results. We have well, we'll get there in a second. All right, the 2021 Board of Direction election results. John Ward is the new director from District 2. Thomas Bailey is the director from East Zone at Large. And Bonnie Pratt is the West Zone at Large director. Thank you to all this year's board candidates for participating in the election. Democratic control is a key co-op principle. This concludes the business portion of our meeting. Now for a short video on VEC's energy storage innovations. This is just one of the most recent innovations that VEC is pursuing as we embrace the grid of the future.
At Vermont Electric Co-op, we think about innovation in a couple ways. First, we think about smart experiments. So thinking about what can we try that might be a benefit for our members, and doing it in a way that we look at, did it work? Do we need to tweak it? Do we need to try a different tactic? And when it does work, then adopting it, moving it out, and making it happen as a way to benefit our members, either in terms of affordability, reliability, or giving some of our members the energy choices that they would like. As we continue down the path of innovation, storage has been an important part of those solutions. Right now, battery storage in particular has been a technology that we've been continuing to deploy.
So a battery is a device that's used to store energy that has been generated at one time, and you want to save it and use it at a time when it's more valuable to you, whether that's an economic value or it provides backup power for reliability.
For utility scale batteries, right now at Heinsberg, we have a large 1 megawatt battery.
This battery could power roughly 1,000 homes for 4 hours. We use the Heinsberg Battery Project primarily to reduce our load in the 1 hour Vermont peaks each month.
The idea is that when the costs are high on the grid, we can release some of that stored energy and therefore reduce the power needs at that particular time.
But what we're learning is how to dispatch that battery and predict when Vermont is going to peak each month.
We hope that over time we'll be able to use more storage at the utility scale level and help with other types of challenges on the grid around intermittency of renewables and also resiliency.
I think 10 years from now, batteries are going to be used much differently than they are today. They're going to be an important tool for moving to the carbon-free economy, for capturing renewable energy when it's generated, but there's not much load. But I think we'll also see a lot more smaller residential batteries as the price comes down and people want to have more reliability at their own home.
And we are in the process of rolling out a residential battery program for VEC members. This is one more way for members who are interested to participate in the evolution of the grid at their own home or business. And it helps them because you would purchase a battery for your own personal resilience to replace a generator, move off fossil fuel, maybe pair it with solar. And if you participate in VEC's program, then we would pay for access to that battery when you're not using it to be able to participate in reducing peak demand for all of VEC's members and therefore help us keep costs affordable. As a not-for-profit, everything we do is for the sake of our members, of delivering them energy and doing it in a really affordable way. And so as we gain any savings from battery storage or other innovations that we do, that money goes right back to the members, helps fund future innovation, but also just keep rates low. And that's part of being a member-owned cooperative in a local rural area. I hope you enjoyed learning more about battery storage and energy innovations at VEC. Now I want to take a few minutes to share VEC's top 10 list to highlight some of the stories, the work, and member opportunities about your cooperative. After my remarks, I will also answer a few questions. So now is a great time to submit any questions using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Started from the back. I wanted to start by talking about our employees, who really are the ones who make it all happen. They're our greatest asset. And I thought I would highlight one employee. We have about a quarter of our workforce who has been with us for more than 25 years. So lots of experience and talent. But Mary Sylvester, who's pictured here, is our longest serving employee. She is entering her 49th year at VEC, and she is our accounts payable and receivable accountant. When the pandemic hit in 2020, Mary quickly moved to remote work, and with her team had to figure out how to make our accounts payable process with many vendors, lots of approvers in the company, and thousands of invoices turn into a paperless process that was just as effective as the process we had before. And if you ask Mary about this, she will tell you that it took a team. It was a team effort, that everyone just looked at what needed to be done and figured out how to make it happen, and that she just sort of took the ball and rolled with it. And this sort of practical, get it done, team-oriented approach is how VEC approaches everything. And over the past year has reworked hundreds of processes around our company to be able to continue to serve you. And now we're focused on continuing to sort of adapt and improve how we do work. And I'm really proud to be part of the team at VEC. We do it all for you, our members. We have over 40,000 meters in 75 communities across northern Vermont, primarily rural communities, and we are very focused on serving your energy needs in an affordable and reliable way and making sure that we are part of thriving rural communities. It's also been a busy year for us. We are growing. And over the past 12 months, we've had 390 new service applications, which is a record for us in recent years. And it looks like 2021 construction season is off to an even busier start than last year. It creates a stressful but very welcome construction season for us. And we appreciate folks' patience. But even more, we appreciate the fact that people seem to be moving to VEC's service territory, joining the cooperative. And if you're new to Vermont or new to the cooperative, welcome. We're very excited to have you. Part of our mission is reliable power, and we focus a lot on making sure that our infrastructure and our team continues to deliver very reliable power for you, ever more reliable. And as you can see over the past 2 years, with a pretty significant reduction in customer hours out, we've been working hard to deliver on that commitment to you. The activities that we do to do that are things like trimming trees. We've been increasing our tree trimming cycle, or moving some of our lines from the woods, which weren't woods when we built them in the 1930s, but are woods now, moving them roadside, or even doing some smaller things like animal protection. While we love our birds and squirrels, they do not get along with our electrical system. And so we have some things we can do to protect that and the animals at the same time. In addition to improving our reliability, we also focus on our responsiveness, making sure that we invest in data on our system so that we know where the outages are and can deploy our troops very quickly to those, and also increasing our communication with you. We really focus on estimated restoration time so that when your power is out, that you can have a sense of when that will come back, and you can access that information on our website or through Smart Hub. I'm very proud that our board has committed to 100% carbon-free energy by 2023. As an energy provider, we have an important role to play in mitigating the human impact on climate change. By making this commitment and doubling down on that commitment by moving to 100% renewable by 2030, VEC is doing its part. And we're balancing that commitment by making sure that we're doing it in an affordable and, of course, reliable way, which is part of our grid of the future. Speaking of the grid of the future, our energy transformation program, which I'm delighted to announce we have more than 2,000 participants in since 2017. This program helps members move away from fossil fuels in terms of the energy they use in their homes and businesses. People do that by buying an electric vehicle, a wood pellet stove, a heat pump, even yard equipment. Our lawnmower incentive has been quite popular. I bought one myself, it works great. And we hope that this will happen even more. This again is part of, as our power supply becomes cleaner, continues to stay affordable, our future will hold a lot more appliances and electricity, and we're going to be there to serve you. If you want to learn more, we have more information on our website, and you can also sign up to understand how those incentives can help you make that happen when you're ready. For those who are particularly interested in solar, and in particular local solar, our VEC Co-op Community Solar Program provides an opportunity for that. This solar array is in Alberg. It's one of 3 that are part of this program. And for members who can't host their own solar, they have an opportunity to sponsor panels. Say you have too many trees on your property, or maybe you rent, you can still participate in local solar. And again, you can find out more about this on our website or give a call to our member services. You heard already a bit about our battery storage program, and in particular our Heinsberg battery, which was our first battery storage program. You see it pictured here in the construction phase. It was successful in a couple ways. One, we did it to learn, just like all innovation. We try to figure out how things work, what works, what doesn't work, and also for savings. And already this project has delivered $50,000 to the bottom line of VEC members. That is net savings from the program that helps offset other costs of the cooperative. This has been successful, so we are doing more, and we are already working on 3 more utility scale battery projects throughout our service territory. And as you heard, we're very excited to roll out a residential battery program that will help us reduce peaks. Stay tuned for more. It'll be rolling out in the next couple months. As you saw from Mark Woodward, our secretary, we have some work to do in terms of connectivity in our service territory. And we know that people need connectivity. We need it for the future of the electric grid, as some of those programs like residential batteries rely on it. But we also need it for our rural communities to be able to thrive, for remote work, remote school, even telehealth. And VEC is committed to being a catalyst in broadband deployment in a couple of ways. One, we really work on making sure that our make ready process is as easy and fast as possible. So make ready is basically preparing our infrastructure so that it can safely hold fiber. Sometimes that means replacing a pole, sometimes that means moving wires, so then the broadband provider can come in and run the fiber on the infrastructure. We have already done 150 miles of broadband make-ready work since the beginning of 2020, which again is another record for us. And we expect that over the next year and coming years that will triple, probably even more than triple. And we're preparing how to do that from a resource perspective. We've also committed to invest $3 million over the next 3 years to offset the cost of that make-ready work for broadband providers who agree to reach the most difficult to reach members. These are members who are currently underserved. They do not have internet, and often are the ones sort of at the end of the line, end of the long dirt road. And we are hoping that this offset to make ready costs can help those broadband providers go further, go faster, and again, be a catalyst for connecting up our communities as quickly as possible. Finally, this is my 10th slide. I will leave you with one of my favorite programs, which is VEC's Community Fund. So the Community Fund is a way that members can contribute primarily by rounding up bills, but also one time or by donating member capital. And those small contributions get pooled together, and we do grants to local not-for-profits. Just this year, we've done a couple grants we've done for $750 each. One was to a preschool in Starksboro for some new books, and another was to an addiction recovery center in Lamoille County. So collectively, by contributing small amounts, we can make a meaningful impact in our communities. And if you would like to be part of this, we would love to have more members participate. There's a really easy form and way to sign up on our website. So now we have time for a few questions. So I see a few that have come in, and I'll answer a few of those. All right, the first question. Do we have a solid plan in place to meet our 2023 commitment? And this is about the carbon-free energy. Right now, VEC is 25% non-carbon-free, so 75% of our power supply is already carbon-free. We have a power supply team who works to create contracts so that we have consistency and a surety about where our power comes from. They are currently working on where that will come from 2023. We do not have those contracts in place yet, but we have some really good ideas about some vendors of where those can come from. It might be some hydro in Maine or on the Connecticut River. I think there's some interesting opportunities that we can look at in the New England region. All right, the next question. Are you planning to increase support to install a lot more heat pumps to increase load and decrease carbon emissions? We saw this past year, not just in VEC territory, but all around Vermont, we saw record numbers of heat pump installments at all utilities. So we know the technology works, and we know that people are moving there more than ever, and we're really delighted about that. Actually, in our Johnson office, we just installed the heat pump ourselves when our heating system died, which is often when people make that choice. Right now, our incentive is designed to make sure that it incentivizes the folks who are doing the heat pumps, but also that there is some value to the broader membership. So we want to make sure that there is value in both places, both to encourage members to move that direction, but also to make sure that we're contributing to the affordability of our grid. So we're not currently planning to increase our heat pump incentives, but you never know. And we do hope that the incentives that we do encourage adoption. We're finding that that is the case, that most of the challenge around adopting heat pumps is often about when people are ready. So people usually are ready, just like we were at our Johnson offices, when they have to make a choice about their heating system. And then finally, the last question is, what are you most proud of VEC accomplishing through the pandemic? I love this question, and it's a hard one because there's a lot that I'm proud of. But I think at the end of the day, I'm most proud that our team changed in incredible ways and lots of effective ways that we will keep moving forward. So I think even this annual meeting is a great example of some really cool videos we put together a nice event, and some of those we'll continue to use at future annual meetings, even when we're in person. But mostly it's that we didn't skip a beat for our members. Our team is incredibly focused on the fact that we are here. The fact that we exist is to serve our members reliable, affordable electricity. And they really just buckle down and do what needs to get done to make that happen. I believe, and based on what we're seeing and hearing from our members and from our satisfaction scores, that our members experience that their service continued reliably and affordably. And that's really what makes me most proud. So with that, thank you for the questions. I know there were more than I had a chance to answer. And if we didn't get to your question, then we will get back to you via email and make sure that we respond. And we love to hear from our members. So anytime you have questions outside of annual meeting, just reach out. We'd love to talk to you about all things energy. It's what we do. It's what we're passionate about. And now I would like to introduce Vermont Lieutenant Governor Molly Gray. Lieutenant Gray was elected last November. She was born and raised on a vegetable and dairy farm in Newberry, which is still operated by her family today. Our Lieutenant Governor has dedicated much of her career to human rights and most recently served as an Assistant Attorney General in Vermont. Good morning, Molly. We're delighted to have you here.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here and really delighted to be able to say a few words and then answer member questions. There's so much happening in Montpelier right now. There's so much happening around the nation right now. I think we're at a pretty historic moment for the state. But Rebecca, I just want to thank you. I was just listening to your incredible report and your persistence, your diligence, your hard work, and the hard work of all of your members and your team over the last year through this pandemic and the most challenging of circumstances is so incredible. So I applaud you. I also just wanted to say that it's really tough to put on an annual meeting virtually. So congratulations to you all on all your hard work. And I hope next year I get to see you at JPEAK or at Smugs or wherever the meeting ends up being. But a little bit about me, because I don't think I've met many of you because of this darn pandemic, but I, as Rebecca said, grew up in Newberry in Orange County on a vegetable and dairy farm. I decided to run for office because of what I experienced in my hometown, more lights off than lights on, really, really tough to keep young people around. 1 in 3 kids going without broadband or internet access. And we know over the last year, that's been really tough. So the focus of my time in office so far, beyond presiding every day, I'm in Montpelier in an empty state house, presiding over a virtual Senate, has been to focus on workforce development, focus on broadband deployment, focus on preserving our land and environment for the next generation. And I hope I get to talk a little bit about that today. But I did want to take a step back and just recognize the incredible goals that you've set to be carbon free by 23, and what that means, what it has meant and what it is going to mean for Vermont, for the nation, and actually for the world. Over the last 4 years, as many of you know, nationally, we've sort of taken a step back on our global commitments on carbon emissions. We see some renewed commitments now, which means that Vermont doesn't have to go at it alone, or parts of this country where there's been a lot of leadership. But in particular, I just want to recognize that while the nation's been stalled for a bit, you've kept going, and you're leading the country, you're leading our state, and that's incredibly admirable, exciting, and it's just a small example of the many ways that Vermont leads at the local level. So congratulations to all of you, and I look forward to working with you, to meeting you in person at some point. But I do want to talk a little bit about what's happening in Montpelier and where we are at. As you know, I think because of the good work of Senator Leahy, Senator Sanders, and Congressman Welch, Vermont has a once-in-a-lifetime amount of money coming to the state. I think in total, I was just pulling the numbers again this morning, $2.7 billion through the American Rescue Plan, which includes money for municipalities, $1.35 billion, $1.13 million for excuse me, I just want to make sure I have that right. Yeah, 113 million for infrastructure and 197 million for municipalities. And that infrastructure money includes broadband, which I hope we'll talk about. I think we will talk about. I plan to talk about it today and where we're at and where we need to go. I think the challenge right now is that we don't entirely know what the rules are, the guardrails are on how some of those funds can be spent. We'll find out on Monday, as I understand it, from the Treasury Department federally. But what does this mean for Vermont? This means we have the opportunity to make once-in-a-lifetime investments in programs and infrastructure that are going to set us up for a much more resilient future. I mean, the work that you all have been doing for years now, I think can start happening on a much more statewide scale. So I think there's a lot to come, but we need to do it thoughtfully. We need to do it strategically, and we're going to need your input at every step of the way. I did want to speak a little bit about the transportation bill that was passed by the Senate. It's a pretty exciting transportation bill this year. There's a lot of money for electric vehicles, a lot of money for, what they're saying, cash for clunkers, but trying to get Vermonters into electric vehicles. You know, I'll be the first to say that my brothers who work on our farm often say, Molly, we can't tow anything with a Prius, and they're pretty excited about that hybrid or electric F-150 coming on, and I look forward to getting in one as soon as that's possible. But I think the most important thing with this transportation bill is that there's opportunities to make electric vehicles affordable and accessible for Vermonters, and also making sure we have a lot of charging stations around the state. But I did want to move briefly to broadband and just commend you for all the incredible work you're doing to make your lines ready. 150 miles is a lot in since 2020. And I'll just share that, electricity, or rather broadband, is the electricity of our time. It's really hard to imagine Vermonters going out without electricity in 2021, but I think it's time to try to imagine what it's like to go without broadband when we've moved our businesses. And I commend you for all the work that you've done to allow remote work where that's possible and to be really adaptive and creative. But for kids that haven't been able to get online, for those who haven't been able to access telehealth, we continue to see a growing divide between rural Vermont and Chittenden County, in a lot of places where internet's just not being deployed fast enough. So it is my number one priority to be with the legislature, with the governor, talking every day about using all the tools that we have at our disposal to make sure that we're meeting those urgent, immediate needs those Vermonters who need to get online right now. We're using all the tools we have at our disposal, but also making sure we have the support in place to help our CUDs, to help Champlain and Waitsfield Valley telecommunications, to even helping some of our incumbent providers are making sure that they are there and able to help us get fiber to homes across the state. So that is my commitment to you. I look forward to talking about it more today. And with that, I'd love to talk a little bit about vaccines and our deployment strategy, but maybe we can do that during the Q&A period. I just want to say I'm so delighted to be here. I want to thank you for all your hard work. I look forward to taking your questions, and I sincerely hope this is the first of many, many more conversations to come, hopefully in person in Canaan or up in Aalborg or any place in between. I can't wait to get back up to the kingdom. So thank you, Rebecca, so much for having me. And I look forward to hearing from you for remaining time.
Great. Well, thanks, Molly, for those remarks. And I do have some questions for you. So I think that will give us a good opportunity to dive a little deeper into some of the things that you've already mentioned briefly. But I'd like to start by asking about something that you brought up sort of early in your remarks about young people leaving the state. And so my question is, what is the state doing to help attract younger people to live and work here?
I think first, and thanks so much for the question, because as I said, it's really top of mind for me. It's, I decided to run for office. The data is not great. We know it in Orange County, we know it in the Kingdom, we know it in Southern Vermont because we see it, and we have more deaths than births in a majority of Vermont counties. It's really hard to keep young people around. I think we're now the second. It kind of depends on the year. I need to look at the census data, but second or third oldest state in the country. And so what we continue to see is there's a sandwich generation that wants to care for aging parents, my parents, and want to make sure that our older Vermonters can retire and live and remain in the state and do so with dignity and support, but also have kids. And we've got a lot of people who are trying to pay for housing, trying to pay for childcare, trying to pay student loan debt, trying to pay utility bills, and it's really tough. So my focus, and I think it's also now the focus of the legislature, is to make sure that we're addressing some of those underlying costs, making childcare affordable and accessible, making sure that we're investing in workforce development programs, making sure our state colleges are well funded so NVU Johnson can stay open, making sure that we are focus on recruitment and retention. I know we need line workers. I know we need more people ready to deploy broadband. We need nurses, we need electricians, we need plumbers, you name it. So the focus of my office is very much on trying to get our next generation to stay here and get excited about the good paying jobs that exist right now, right here today in our communities.
Great, thank you. And I know that's all of the things that you mentioned are near and dear to the hearts of our members who live in very rural communities, and some of which are growing, but most of which are shrinking. And I think all of those initiatives, it's a complex problem, so all of them matter, each of those things. Great. Well, now I wanted to ask a little, you had mentioned vaccination uptake, which I think is very top of mind for people, certainly at VEC. It's something we talk about a lot, both at our company and in our communities. So how is Vermont doing, and what strategies do we have going on to increase uptake?
Well, first off, for anyone who's received the vaccine, and hopefully it's everyone here, but if not, I'm going to make a big pitch. Just thank you. I think Vermont, as I said, continues to lead the way, right? Be it on our innovative renewable energy pioneers or cooperatives and the members all here today, or on getting vaccines deployed. I think we are number one in the nation in terms of percentage of Vermonters, 100,000 that are vaccinated. I mean, it's pretty remarkable, especially Vermonters over 65. But the challenge we have is that the vaccine's only effective if I get it. My mom and dad get it. My brothers get it. My family gets it. My coworkers get it. And so that we start to build that community resilience, right? So me getting the vaccine is not only helping my own health and wellness, but it's my family's, it's the communities, it's the states. And that's my plea, I guess, to Vermonters. Just, we've got to all come together, work together, and do our part to build that community immunity that we need to be able to really reopen our economy, get our fairs and parades and barbecues going again, all the things that we really missed. So I have some important information. If you are in Lunenburg, there is a walk-in clinic today until 1 p.m. And between 2 and 4 p.m. at the Maidstone town offices. Vaccines are available today. Tomorrow, there's a single dose, which is the Johnson & Johnson one and done, at the Canaan High School between 4:30 and 7 p.m. The Silvio Conti Forest parking lot in Brunswick between 2 and 4 p.m. tomorrow. The Island Pond Fire Station between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow. There's even more sites in East Haven, West Burke, and other places across the region. You can go to the Department of Health website. You can sign up online. I'd also just say Walgreens, CVS, Kinney Drug. I ended up getting my shot at Walgreens because it was faster. So go online, make an appointment, and help us put this pandemic behind so we can move on with our lives and see our families again. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, great. Well, great. Yes, I was able to get a vaccination at CVS for me, but I have a 14-year-old daughter. So I saw the state is preparing for when Pfizer is approved for 12 to 15-year-olds. So we're excited about that opportunity too.
We should have more news next week.
Yeah, great. That'll be great. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about, you had shared a little bit about you personally, but I'm always really interested because you have been in the lieutenant governor position now since the start of the year in a pandemic. And I'm just curious, what has been different than what you expected sort of before you took the position in terms of what the reality has played out?
Well, it's a pandemic, so that's pretty different. There's no one in the State House. It's an empty building, but I'm there every day with my awesome chief of staff, Hazel Brewster, who grew up in Morrisville, and we're there. We want to hear from you. Please reach out if you have questions about the pandemic or accessing resources. We're there. We're there to support you. But so that's a little bit strange. But I wanted to say one thing that I think is pretty interesting. We've had a number of meetings where there's been 200, 300 people Zooming in or engaging in government online. Maybe like this meeting today, although I can't see everyone. And I do think that if we can get the broadband right and get that done quickly, there may be some things about this pandemic and the lessons learned that we keep, right? That you don't have to drive to Montpelier to have your voice heard. And you can do that via some of these tools that we have. And I don't know what's going to happen with state government. I think there may be remote work in our future, and that might be okay in some instances. I also like to see people, want to hear from people. So, I think those are some initial reflections, but most sincerely, I just can't wait to get out of the building and get out, as I say, like out into Vermont and see you, hear you, come up and visit and just understand more about what's happening in our communities every single day. Because I think there's a lot of lessons learned as we recover from this pandemic, and we've got to get it right with all this money coming to Vermont. So,
great. All right, good. And then another personal question for you. So one of the things you and I have in common is we both grew up in Vermont and left for a little while and then came back to live and work here because we love the state so much. So what do you love most about having grown up and now living and working in Vermont?
Oh man, I've worked in some pretty tough places in Iraq and conflict zones around the world with the Red Cross. My younger brother served in the Marine Corps in Iraq. My older brother left to go to school in Montana for a bit, but we all came back. And I think our feeling is you can leave Vermont, but Vermont never leaves you. And I bet you feel that way as well. But I was driving down to Montpelier yesterday, and I was like, the sun was out, the apple blossoms were coming out, everything was just really, really green. I'm like, my God, I love this state and how lucky we are to live in such a beautiful place. And I feel that every day. And I guess, I also feel really proud, more so as an adult, to think about growing up on the farm and all those skills that you learn. And you were talking about this earlier, just being nimble, that kind of get it done. How are we going to do it? How are we going to figure it out? And I think that's what makes growing up in a rural community on a farm, or just, wherever you are, that's kind of out there where you've got to figure it out. And I think that's what has made us so resilient through this pandemic, and what's going to set us up for a much more resilient future. We have a lot of room to be creative and innovative as we think about the future of the state. So, yeah, but I'm sure you share some of those same feelings. And it's just, I think my message to young people is, one, stay here. We need you. And there's a lot of good things to do. But two, if you decide to go and get some experience, we are ready for you when you come back. And we're going to put a lot of the pieces in place to make that possible when you decide to.
Great. That's great, Molly. So that's the last of our questions, but I wanted to just wrap up by asking, is there anything that you wanted to comment on a little bit more, or share a little bit more that we didn't get a chance to dive into today?
I think I'd just like to reiterate that my office door is open. You can go to ltgov.vermont.gov or call 802-828-2226. I'll also put that in the chat. We want to hear from you, be it on broadband or heat pumps or the battery storage, which I think is extremely exciting. I'd love to learn more about the residential battery program and how to get one when that's possible. But just keep the lines of communication open. And I just want to thank all of your workers, thank all of the members here today for everything you're doing to keep Vermont in the forefront and to make our state extremely resilient when it comes to energy independence as we move forward. So thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, Molly. Thanks for your time today. Thanks for all the great questions. And I appreciate the conversation. I too look forward to seeing you in person at some point later this year. And thank you for your service to Vermont.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Okay, next we have, we're wrapping up towards the end here. We are announcing our raffle winners. So the raffle winners were chosen at random from among all of the over 3,000 VEC members who voted in this year's board election. These prizes are gift cards in various denominations to well-known retailers donated by our contractor, Charles Curtis LLC. Charles Curtis works across VEC's service territory on various job sites. They set rock poles for us. So in the trickiest areas, they help set poles, and they also help us with storm restoration. So we are very appreciative to Charles Curtis for the work they do for VEC and also for these generous donations. I know this is quick. We just popped it up. So we will be in touch with those members who are winners and make sure to get you your gift card. As I wrap up, the very last thing I'd like to do is just say a big thank you to our team at VEC, the team who put together this annual meeting, all the videos you saw, choreographed this, also to our senior leadership team at VEC who has done an incredible job leading this company during a really challenging year. And to every employee at VEC who in their way has also been a leader, helping us, as Molly Gray said, be nimble, be creative, keep the member always in the forefront and doing what needs to be done. It's been a tough year, but also in many ways a successful year. And I look forward to having even more fun once we reopen a little bit more here as our vaccination rates increase. And finally, a thank you to our board of directors whose counsel, advice, and leadership is also critical to the governance and the navigation of the cooperative. They represent you, the members, and also provide a lot of leadership in this year. I think it's been, again, a pretty crazy one to lead, and they've been there supporting us every step of the way. So at this time, I would like to turn the meeting back to President Goggin for adjournment. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. And I'd also like to thank not only VEC employees just for their hard work throughout the year. I know there was a subset of those employees who are actually, made this annual meeting possible. It's a lot of work to put together a webinar like this. But also thank our members for participating. And, we look forward to next year. Hopefully we'll be in person. And I look forward to that, whether we're at Smugs or Jay, to get our lives back on track again. So at this time, I will accept the motion to adjourn the 2021 annual meeting.
I am John Ward. I move to adjourn the meeting.
And can I get a second?
I'm Mark Woodward. I second that.
Thank you, Mark. Those in favor of adjournment, please vote yay or nay on your screen, and don't forget to hit the submit button. Thank you. The results are in. Adjournment motion has passed. And so therefore I'll declare the 2021 annual meeting adjourned at 10:01 a.m. And thank you again all for joining.